Artist Journal, September 20th, 2022, Berlin. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. I welcome you back where the magic happens. Back down the rabbit hole. Back where all the fun takes place. Speaking of which, and we'll get back, as we always do, to this first slide, this great Lorna Mills. I bought it. I probably shouldn't have, but I just think I had to do it for museum, quote unquote, museum purposes. My latest rationalization, I think it's here. So thank you to Agor, for sending this. Pretty hilarious. He just messaged me the other day with this hilarious meme. So thank you. I've been saying to people and whatever, the support of this community is incredible. And again, it's just awesome. So thank you once again. Thank you, Agor. I sent that to my girlfriend and she loved it. So all good. So getting into it, Lorna Mills. Now, some of you may have heard of Lorna Mills. She's a bit of a name. Like, she's one of these people that bridged the trad art world to this blockchain world, and she was very early. Like, she was doing GIFs. I think I was looking, she even has a Wikipedia. Don't make too much of that. A lot of the times artists themselves, like, I've been actually asked to help, write a Wikipedia for someone who's an artist because I'm a native English speaker and it was a German speaker. So yeah, by the artist. So don't make too much if you see a Wikipedia of someone, but nevertheless, in her Wikipedia, you can see that she's been doing GIFs at least since 2014, when there was an article in Art Blouin, which I think is now Art Info, about her. So she's been around. She kind of broke through that very difficult art circuit, and she's been doing really well, and she's kind of retained credibility. She's kind of like one of these early GIF artists. I'd put Haiti Roquette. These people that came out of Tumblr, some of them, like I think he might have come out of Tumblr. I'm not an expert in these things, but anyway, she's an early GIF artist, and this was a particularly beautiful one. She plays with ideas, I think, of taste and what's acceptable. This one was just easy for me, not financially. It was 300 Tezos, which I probably shouldn't have done that. But I was thinking of this museum in my mind, and this is the kind of work you can use in like a pixel art show or in a landscape show, like a digital landscape show, and it was just really attractive. It's a one of one. So she's a name. I will be able to resell that to someone at some point, so I did it. So anyways, beautiful work here. She put out a couple of one of ones this morning. This one is now gone, Dominion Dansette, 700 by 700. This is another thing, this idea of scale. One thing I really love about digital art and keeping it on the screen is there's not this concern over scale. We saw Haiti Roquette yesterday put out a 50 pixel work. We see 8Bidoo is coming to object. So that's 8 pixels by 8 pixels. So this is something before, NFTs, you kind of had to worry about. I mean, probably Lorna Mills didn't worry about it, but I thought about it. I was like, how am I going to make these work in the real world, the physical world where I can sell these things? And so doing a 50 by 50 pixel work, or even 700 by 700, was too small. So, I think 2,000 pixels makes like 30 centimeters. So anyways, beautiful work here. I think my favorite part of this, again, we're back to strong contrasts. Blue and orange, opposite sides of the color wheel. And here you have total detail and depth with completely flat panes. And we'll go at the end. I'm minting a piece on Screen Memories, and I have a similar contrast, actually. It's a very similar contrast, but quite different at the same time. So there's her first piece that she minted today, and she just minted this other one too. Looks like in the same series. And again, contrasting colors, opposite sides of the color wheel, yellow and blue, complementary colors. So take note, very smartly put together. This is called Line Drive. Also, this one is still available, I believe, at 300 Tezos, so if you dare. Now, I brought up the Digital Art Museum, Wolf Leeser, who, and the reason I brought up Wolf, let me see if I can do this. I saw a presentation by Wolf about 3 or 4 years ago at Fata Morgana, which is a gallery that I show at every so often, just like a community gallery sort of thing, artist run space. It's actually about to shut down in Mitte. But anyways, I went to a talk that Wolf Leeser, the head of the Digital Art Museum, was giving at Fata Morgana. And that's where I heard about Lorna Mills. And again, Wolf is kind of more from this, for lack of better terms, from the contemporary art scene, let's call it that, over like the digital NFT scene. And he was actually at the Berlin Art Fair last year, which is when I last talked to him. So anyways, dam.org. And so you can see just, as we go through and just sort of see what's going on out there, it's always nice to kind of touch back on kind of precedents. And this book, I mean, Wolf, I was asking Wolf, like, Wolf, you've done so fantastic. Like, was the book the breakthrough? And he was like, yeah, because you hear that a lot. Like these people that write, how to be successful, write a book. That's one of those things. And it worked for Wolf, interestingly. And he said it was a little slow when he first started this digital art museum, but now, at least last year, it was booming. I didn't see him at this year's Berlin Art Fair. But anyway, hat tip to Wolf Leeser, Wolfgang. And if you're in Berlin, I believe the Digital Art Museum is still there. Let's just let's just check the address. I believe it's still there. It's, I haven't been there for a couple of years. So who knows, after the pandemic, you kind of never know. Just kind of an interesting work. I've been looking at Pava1.Tez's pixelated nudes for a long time. Very simple contrast, very simple concept, and I just like the idea. Right, pixelated nudes. Someone had to do it, and Pava1 does a pretty cool job and has explored the topic, as you can see. It's got 16 pages of work here, a lot in FX hash. In fact, I wish there was a filter on object to filter out FX hash, as well as in the notifications, because if someone starts minting on FX hash, it kind of blows up your notifications. Also, in the pixel art theme, we have a work by Kristen Roos, the 5th cycle. I think there's 6, because there's one work that has 6 in them. I'll just show you. The other 4 went for sale, and they went pretty quickly, I think. They were going for 20, so they're almost all sold out. Now they're on secondary, except for Cycles 3 here. But you see there's this other work, Cycles City, and it has all of them in. So I assume there's going to be a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So I assume there's going to be one more because they're all separated. And interesting piece I saw on Twitter yesterday. I'm not sure who tweeted this out, but this Board Me Social Club. Again, as we just try and stretch our aesthetic appreciation, because again, this sort of airbrush, this isn't my typical aesthetic interest, but I just go, this is pretty interesting. And we're almost back to like this scene that we'll see in a Rat Cloaksy of like, I don't know if pastoral is the right word, but like an American kind of suburban, lawn and house kind of with things going bad in a surrealist way. You have an axe and a saw, looks like another decapitated head. Because of course we had to have one. And a house on fire, and this is actually hilarious. Here, maybe you can't see it, but for you Twin Peaks fans out there, Laura Palmer. So for those that know Twin Peaks, a hilarious, I don't know if hilarious is the word actually, but a TV series by David Lynch that was really famous, I guess, in the late 80s. Maybe late 1990, I don't know, late 80s. And Laura Palmer was the woman who was murdered. So maybe that is key to understanding the narrative of this work. And I'm just curious, so it's going for 18, there's only 5. Pretty interesting work. Mikey Wilson, who's always kind of on the forefront of finding new talent. So he's definitely worth a follow, Mikey Wilson. And so let's just look at Board Me Social Club's work really quickly. There's also this other work that came out. So, you can see, again, that kind of airbrush aesthetic, playing with more movement here. So a lot of experimentation. And what's interesting also about the digital art scene, at least like on Tezos, it's like you're only as good as your last mint to a certain degree. Like, and the past is, but the opposite side of that coin is the past is quickly forgotten. If, say, your work isn't adored by the masses, don't worry too much, because that is quickly forgotten if you put out a beautiful work next time. So it's very much, it's kind of like show business. You're only as good as your last show to a certain degree, which ultimately probably is healthy. Because probably the last thing we need is a bunch of legacy people who built their reputation early and now are, sitting pretty while new talent that puts out great work doesn't get recognized. So maybe that's all good. That's the market at work. It shows how free market Tezos is in the art scene, which is probably quite a bit different. I mean, you hear stories, some of you might be surprised to hear this, not the veterans, but some people that might not be overly familiar with the art world. It's hard to sometimes acquire works by certain artists. Like, you got to be somebody yourself. Supply is restricted. Like, if you want an Albert Olin or a whomever, the gallery might not sell to you because you're not the right collector. So again, you got to love this democratization of collecting and buying and selling and everything. I would just prefer this system. And if someone really likes me and has a personal relationship, I guess they'll message me beforehand and say, Adrian, I want you to have this. I'm minting at this time. Boom, right? I wanted to pick up on this piece by Mote MT, The Border, Turreau and Grail series. I've been following this artist's work for a while. We haven't profiled anything by him yet, I don't think. I thought this was kind of a powerful work. La Frontera, the border, the frontier. And so this is obviously about immigration, refugee type theme, right? And what I really liked about this piece is often you'll see that theme from a artist's perspective, or almost from like this third person narrator perspective. And what I really like about this piece is it's almost, if not from the actual immigrant's perspective, or the person who's trying to get through, or who is just bitter. Maybe that's the brother, who knows, who looks like they're being fingerprinted, by the way, right? So, and here the finger is being given back. I thought a very poetic work here by Modem MT, and so called The Border, and kind of concerning right up here, the events that took place cannot be narrated. The wild foal has fallen. So buy for 5 Tezos. I might pick this up. Only 3 have sold. Let's support our guy, Mote MT. I'll pick one of these up. And La Frontera, poetic work. This is another work by Mote MT, where he was celebrating Purple Drank. Remember the guy who was doing the Pepes? And basically, from what I can tell, a bit of an OG in this community, who started the Drank DAO. So this is just another nice piece. You see Pepe here. This was a 1 of 1. Who did this go to? Accepted offer for 55 to Purple Drank. So he bought his portrait. Very nice. New work by Kappa, which I was in the gym, so I missed this one. And so Kappa's selling very quickly. He's selling out very quickly. Interesting work. I think, is this called Kappa Cream? And you see an ice cream truck with all of the outrageousness that we have come to be used to with Kappa's work and the modern clothing and everything. So really cool. Interesting backpack. We've got a little McDonald's. Cryptos are accepted at the Kappa ice cream truck with the house on fire. And is that the Jamaican flag? So yeah, and then you see some nice smoke. So again, Kappa tearing it up with sales and another interesting, cool, dynamic composition. And finally, Rustic Digital Art. Wow, going for 35. I missed my opportunity to pick this up. And remember, this was the brain-breaking work by Rustic Digital Art, his therapist, the taxi driver. And I guess the taxi is kind of a metaphor. Just outrun the demons, could you? You know, for maybe talking to, I think he called it Daxi Driver. And he's, I don't, you know, it's almost like the taxi driver is the therapist here, driving him around. So now going for 35. So his Rustic Digital Arts market is going very well. He burnt 5. And so, yeah, down to 15. Very interesting. Continuing on, Quartz Slam by Detaste. I saw this on Twitter, and this was just a really nice work. It kind of reminded me of just kind of a nice poetic oil painting, but it's digital. And Contemporary Clothing, Lacoste shoes. So just another interesting work. Sold out at, you could have got this for a Tezos 80. So more work I missed. So again, just showing that you put out a good work and it just flies out the door. Goes on Twitter and flies out the door. Here's some of his other work, a little Pepe and more Pepes. And let's see what else. Very quickly, Strange Thing put out this tweet, which I thought was really interesting. NFT for sale. So this is one of his works, Strange Thing. Cool kind of meta work with crazy clothing. Feel free to drop any Tezos AI fashion pieces below. No links, as I would love to build on my collection, or tag fashion artists you feel could help change fashion history via AI. So, Strange Thing, always up to interesting things. And you could imagine a fashion designer sort of starting to collaborate. So getting into the world of fashion here, and like we were saying, particularly in Strange Thing's work, you feel like fashion could just blow up. Or go berserk, I think is the word I used. And there was actually a really great piece in here, this one, which is just so confusing. I thought this was a great piece. I don't know if it has to do with fashion, but it was in the feed. Just like a disorienting piece. It looks like AI. So more interesting AI art. Another piece by Venta. This was a one of one. Went to the Utah Museum. Who has been collecting some AI and who is building their collection. So again, another beautiful work by Venta, as Venta explores AI. And this was interesting. Venta put out this tweet. When was this? I guess it was September 14th, but I think the Utah Museum retweeted it. Twisted Fantasy, a new collection starting tomorrow. After my first forays into AI art, I have taken time to experiment and search for a series of works using AI that can stand up to the Venta style and name. I feel I have that now in this new collection coming to Object tomorrow. So that is that collection that we have seen here. Okay? I believe it's these last 4. So, which are trading for a pretty penny right now. So AI art continues to be very hot. I mean, the market looks very strong right now, just on a microeconomic level. Another AI artwork by Sumi Ray. So she put out an artist studio yesterday. She put out another one today. And again, this sold out, this previous one, which was beautiful. We put this on yesterday. Now going, I picked up the last one on secondary for $660 here. Should have picked it up for $3, but again, you just kind of, I'm trying to hold back and then I blow $300 on a Lorna Mills, but it's Lorna Mills. I mean, I justify it by, I can get the money back. If I need the money, I should be able to get it back probably, within a few weeks. So I go get it for the museum. This is just part of a medium or genre that I haven't really talked about much, which is this 3D kind of sculpture, what we might even be tempted to call virtual sculpture. This is by Sky Goodman. maybe a couple of disco balls, and the title is important here, Meditation on a Future That Never Was, GLB file, hand sculpted in virtual reality, animated and rendered in Blender, crystal balls mapped with video feedback captures from the Panasonic MX50 and Edirol V4. So lots going in there. I'm a huge fan of using different tools on one artwork. You don't need to, but I'm a huge fan of it because I just think it creates a kind of, it's just really nice. It creates a really organic sort of work, which is just almost impossible to replicate, right? Once you start using all these different tools. A new work by JNK and Terry Visual, Kurt Hustle Collective, KHC, which looks like a Ninja Turtle on a skateboard with a Tezos chain and one of their ads on a billboard going down the road. This was a one of one for the people. Looks like Smoky Red won large on this game. So this is a one of one that was sent to Der Nadler, who won that previous contest that we saw. I'll just bring that up with that awesome piece here, which is now, oh no, that's just the winner. I got the better luck next time. So he sent this to everybody that didn't win, who had bought one of the Bet House boxings. So you see how NFTs, the tokens and just being able to see who buys your work and all that stuff, it creates its own dynamic. Here's a betting slip that you get automatically when you bought this. He loves to play with this, or they love to play with this at Kurt Hustle Collective. Like when I bought this, I got 2 of these earrings for free, which was like the infomercial with earrings, and the talk show host with Trimmy Talkerson or whatever he's called. So up to their old madness. Javier Tomillo posted this yesterday. I don't know who this is, but pretty cool work. He's publishing this. Javier is publishing this, The Lands, at 3 p.m. today, UTC. I think that's close to Berlin time, I believe. Either way, it's going to be today, so just something to keep tabs on. And so that is that. And finally, I am going to mint this finally. This I thought it was kind of ironic. I'm going to mint this on Super Rare just because the rest of my series is on Super Rare. And I do get, I've gotten some really nice sales that the likes of which I've never gotten on Tezos. So again, I'm not tribal here with my chains. But I'll probably put out remixes at a certain point. Also, this is a portrait of a woman, a take on a Parmigianino. And basically, what you see here in the Screen Memories series, very briefly, is the magic wand tool and the pencil tool. So very digital tools that you only find in the digital realm. And those are being layered on top of traditional art. So you see this kind of very strong contrast, like we saw in the Lorna Mills, of these super strong, hard contrast digital shapes with the kind of, for lack of a better term, chiaroscuro of, traditional painting, the light and shadow, the depth. And you saw the same thing in that Lorna Mills, a similar contrast. Again, a bright kind of color with these kind of more brownish yellows and whatnot. So I'm going to try the new Ethereum out. Let's see how much it costs. I can't wait to report on that. And eventually I'm going to put out some remixes of this too for Tezos, as I did on the Three Graces, which were my first works. And we'll just quickly go to that. I'm going to do the same idea here. Like the original is on Super Rare, and then I put this remixes here in different colors, which I think is kind of fun. So it becomes an assembly line of sorts once you have that kind of master version. And with that, thank you for joining me once again. Until next time, take care.